What's going on, everyone? So LeBron James is back, and with LeBron back, we got to figure out how to have the Luka, Reaves, and LeBron kind of big three. How are they going to work? How are they going to operate? Right? LeBron has said himself, Luka's the guy. Luka's going to be on the ball, which you saw in that Chicago game. Luka's going to be on the ball, Reaves, and then he'll fit in where he can. Right? LeBron's never really going to be a third option, but he's 40 years old in year 22, right? And you saw even in the Chicago game, granted it was his first game back, so we'll see if that maintains, but you saw him kind of, in many ways, operate as the third guy. He still went and got you 17. I actually thought he had a good night given the circumstance. It wasn't like great. It wasn't like, oh my God. Like defensively, he was terrible, but so was everybody. It was terrible defensive display by the Lakers. But also in LeBron's defense, it was his first game back. And for those that are like, oh, you're just, glazing LeBron. No, I said the same stuff about Austin Reaves. And apparently I'm an Austin Reaves hater, right? Because I've criticized him in the past. I defended Austin Reaves when he had those 3 bad games back from injury. Because again, when a guy comes back from injury, I did the same thing for Luka when he came back from injury, right? Got to give guys a game or two to get more than probably a game or two, but you need to give guys a couple games to get under their belt and get their legs under them, right? Problem is Lakers got 12 games. And they got 12 games left now to figure out how are they going to balance that, right? There is a genuine argument that you bring Reaves off the bench still. The problem is Reaves has been so good that it would be hard to justify, right? It's like, dude, he's been arguably our best player the last, 2 months, month and a half, right? Like, be tough to be like, oh, hey, thanks for your great efforts, but now you're going to come off the bench as a 6th man. But there is an argument to be made for better balance and to better scatter them, right? Regardless, whatever they do. Because if I'm being honest, I don't think JJ is going to bring Reaves off the bench. Just wanted to bring and mention that point because that is an option, right? Which is fine. You want to go Reaves, Luka, LeBron. I do still think Dorian Finney-Smith should start because I do worry about the defense. Especially because you don't have Anthony Davis. You have Jackson Hayes, which he's been good defensively. Don't get me wrong. Technically, he's been statistically the best defensive player. He has like a 102 defensive rating since February 1st. So he's literally been statistically the best defensive player in the league, right? But also the Lakers have been the best defense in the league during that stretch and by like a good margin, right? Like Lakers have been very good defensively. However, right, you saw last night the 3 can coexist. Right? Luka had a Luka game and LeBron, kind of let Luka cook and do his thing. Reaves had a great game offensively. Defensively, again, everyone was terrible, but offensively, he was cooking and doing his thing. And LeBron just kind of got in where he got in, which is what I've talked about. And I do think LeBron, as you saw, will kind of score in doses, right? Like, I think you'll see he'll go get, hey, Luka's off the court. Let me go get 6 quick buckets, right? Or 6 quick points, right? Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Second quarter, same thing. Boom, boom, boom. And then, okay, let me get 8 in the third. Okay, let me help close this in the fourth. Luka's on the bench. Boom, let me get 8 quick points. And now he's got his, 28 or whatever, right? That's how I think LeBron is going to probably make that happen. That's kind of what you saw last night. Reaves, if he can continue to be aggressive, right? He started out not as aggressive, but then immediately kind of picked it up and got the aggression, which is what I want to see. And I've talked about this. My biggest concern is that Luka is Luka, which that's what should happen. LeBron is LeBron. And then Austin Reaves kind of becomes more off ball and sort of passive and not aggressive because the Lakers have shown they are at their best when he is aggressive, right? Because it's just, he's usually has the 3rd best defender at most on him. And you can't double team everybody. You have LeBron and Luka as a threat. I don't think all 3 guys should play heavy doses though, right? And I'm not talking about minute-wise. I'm talking about together, right? I think they need to be trickled in. I think they need to be scattered, right? Start all 3 of them, fine, and, make your adjustments accordingly. But from there, I think you need to have LeBron and Reaves, and then LeBron and Luka, and then Luka and Reaves, right? And you kind of, from whatever, the 6-minute mark of the first quarter to the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter, there shouldn't be very many times where all 3 are on the court together, personally. Just because, again, I think that that's where you're going to be at your best, where you constantly have at least 2 guys on the court that can handle the playmaking duties on-ball duties, but also score the basketball and be kind of your offensive engine. And I think you'll be able to balance that out great. But there are these genuine questions, right? And especially, and this is something you need to figure out, obviously sooner rather than later for this season to try to win this season, but also going forward. Because something that I've talked about, Austin Reaves is going into a contract year next year. And as Austin Reaves, if LeBron sticks around for another 2 or 3 years, right, and you're paying Austin Reaves 30, 40 million, right, and it's not working, you might put yourself in a bad position, right? Like, and that's going to kill Reaves' trade value and all that stuff, right? So, again, Austin Reaves as the third option has been one of the best third options. But you got to keep in mind, the last like month and a half that he's really shined, he hasn't been the third option. He's been the second option. On many nights, the first option. So we haven't really gotten a ton of third option Reaves. We've gotten it with Anthony Davis, but it's very different when Anthony Davis is the guy that needs setup and an interior player rather than Luka, who's going to be on ball and be ball dominant, and then LeBron James. Right? It's not the same thing. Now you're the third option amongst not only scoring, but also facilitating and having the ball in your hands and all these other things. Right? So again, it's finding that balance. I'm not saying that they won't be able to figure it out. I'm not saying that they won't be able, but we also need to see this because they haven't played a ton of games together. Got to keep in mind, like, yes, Luka's played whatever has been 17, 18 games, but it hasn't been all with LeBron and it hasn't been all with Reaves and it hasn't been with all three. They played very limited. They've only played like a handful of games with all three of them, right? Because you got to keep in mind, Luka, after we made the trade, he missed a couple games. And then Reaves ended up going out and missing a couple games. And then LeBron ended up going out and missing a couple games. So you haven't gotten, we haven't gotten 20 games with Luka, LeBron, and Reaves and them operating and figuring some stuff out. We got 12 games left to kind of work through this to a point to where it's good enough come playoff time. But, and again, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that it won't work. I'm not saying that they won't be able to figure it out. I'm not saying anything like that. I have confidence. I'm not worried about like I said, I'm not worried about Luka and LeBron figuring it out. I'm not worried about Luka and Reaves figuring it out. I'm not worried about LeBron and Reaves figuring it out. But the issue is can all three figure it out? Because here's the thing. Austin Reaves has been good defensively. He's been serviceable, but he's not so good defensively and in all the other areas to where if he's only giving you 12 points a game and gets back to being inconsistent and is not the aggressive Reaves we've seen because LeBron and Luka are dominating the ball, it makes things very tough for the Lakers. Because now you have all these defensive liabilities all over the basketball court. And the one thing that you have in Reaves is that, oh yeah, he can go get you 20 to 30 every night, right? It changes things. And I'm not saying he has to necessarily go get you 20 or 30 every night, but you want him to be that threat. You want him to continue to be aggressive. Again, Lakers are at their best when he's aggressive. Also, he's better at playmaking and everything else because he starts taking what the defense gives him. He's aggressive. He's in attack mode. He's doing his thing. And then the defense is trying to figure that out. And he's torching folks. He's getting to the foul line and he's hitting threes and he's doing all the things that Austin Reaves has done. Right? You got to find that balance. Because if Reaves starts kind of what you saw when we first made the Luka trade, which is understandable in his defense, right? Like, Luka wasn't really aggressive. The Luka trade happened and like everyone was kind of like, LeBron kind of was like on ball more. Even Luka kind of deferred to LeBron at times, and it was kind of like, okay, this isn't how it should be, right? And even LeBron was like, this isn't how it should be, right? Because we all kind of like, okay, but then. Like I said, LeBron, obviously you don't want him going down with injury. Luckily it wasn't, knock on wood, it wasn't anything significant to where he missed the season or anything. But I do think that injury was beneficial for Reaves and Reaves and Luka because it allowed them to figure out their relationship and their on-court production, but it also allowed Luka to establish himself as the guy. All right? He gets to be the guy. Reaves continues to be aggressive and LeBron fits in, right? What we saw last night against the Chicago Bulls, or depending when you're watching this video, maybe it's been a couple nights since that game. That's how I think it should go, right? Where Luka was the guy, he was on ball. Reaves continued to be aggressive and got his, shot attempts and was efficient. And then LeBron kind of picked his spots, right? And I think that is what the Lakers should do, obviously with better defensive effort, right? So we're not giving up 146 points, but you give me the better defensive effort. Those three guys kind of piecing it together. You sprinkle them in, scatter them throughout. Don't just have them kind of clumped together all game, right? You kind of dilly it up so each guy has their moment to shine, so to speak. Once LeBron gets his legs back under him and he's able to get his thing, I think he'll go back to being 23 points a game to 25 points a game. And you always have LeBron on any night and any moment go, here, buddy, go win us this game. And he can do it, right? So that's kind of the way that I think that they should go about this. But there are some concerns, right? And last night, you kind of watched and you're like, like the defense. Are you going to be able to defensively hold your own with Luka, Reaves in the front and in your backcourt, and then LeBron as like your kind of last line of defense? All these things are things that the Lakers are going to have to figure out. Like I said, I'm not saying it won't work. I'm not saying they won't figure it out, but it's definitely something that is at least worth a discussion. But as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? I'd feel, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Disagree? Mixed? In the middle? Do you think it'll work? Do you think it won't work? Again, I'm not worried about Luka and LeBron. I'm not worried about Reaves and LeBron. I'm not worried about Reaves and Luka. Right? I'm not worried about them as duos. I'm worried about them as a triplet. Right? What is it? Quartet? Is that the right word? But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Now subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.